when you had first talked about getting into contest condition, and you talked about the double sessions of cardio. And I remember you said you'd get up and you'd do cardio, and I think you'd work out and maybe do another night session of cardio, something along those lines. And you were getting up to, I think, close to 2 hours of cardio a day, if I'm remembering correctly. Is that something you still recommend, or are you kind of cut back on that now? Because I don't see as many people recommend really high amounts of cardio now compared to maybe 10 to 15 years ago.
Well, I did do that 15, 20 years ago at some competitions, and it worked well, but I would prefer not to, and it's not something that I would generally recommend now.
Okay.
I'm not against cardio and dialing up the cardio. I know some people are. There's people who will quote all the literature on concurrent training and how when you're doing weight training and cardio training at the same time in the same program, as there comes a point when you crank up the cardio high enough, it starts to interfere. It interferes with power first, and it interferes with strength, and then it can interfere with your muscle mass. But with moderate amounts of cardio, that's not a concern whatsoever. So
Right.
I do believe that almost everybody should include cardio in their program. And what I see cardio as, it's a variable. The weight training is fixed. I mean, let's say you're training five times a week. And it's an hour per session. I mean, you're going to keep doing that program. Within that workout, you may be cranking up the intensity, and you're going to be using progressive overload. But the cardio doesn't necessarily start and finish at the same volume. So my recommendation is start with as little as you can get away with, which might be a moderate amount, say 3 days a week when you're starting out a cut, and it might be only 30 minutes. And then monitor your results. Use nutrition primarily as your number one tool for cutting fat, and make adjustments to your nutrition, pull your calories down, pull your carbs down, whatever you're going to do as your first order priority. But don't write off cardio as another option for increasing your calorie deficit and for keeping progress going. So basically what I will do is I will also progress my cardio. So I might move up then to say 4 days a week if I wasn't getting lean enough, and then I might move up to 5 days a week and 6 days a week. And typically over the course of my whole bodybuilding career, I would get to the point where I would do cardio almost every day, like 6 days a week, and the duration would be up there around 40 to 50 minutes. That was typical for me, and my body responded really, really well to it. People may get different mileage from it. It may be more beneficial for some, less beneficial for some. Some people might get that negative response that they feel like they're overtraining. They might see it, maybe their lean body mass or their strength goes down. But for me, it was just another way. It was another dial to turn during contest prep. Like one dial I turn is calories, and I'm tweaking calories down. Or maybe I tweak the calories down specifically from carbs because I want to leave the protein alone. So I'll just tweak down the carb calories a little bit, and then I'll tweak up the cardio calories. So like if the only dial you have to turn is your nutrition, but I have two dials, I just feel like I have more tools than you do, and yet a lot of people are afraid to use that. So it's just a matter of balance. And back in the early days, I was probably overtraining on cardio, but the results turned out okay for me too.
Yeah, it seems like it. And you still see the extremes there too. You have a lot of people now, it's like they almost brag about not doing cardio.
Exactly. I've seen that.
Why not just do something? First of all, it's healthy, but secondly, like you said, there's that other thing that you're able to adjust. But then of course you don't want to go too crazy with it. I know, back at the most intense I was going was I would wake up and I'd do an hour of cardio, and of course I was jogging, so it's high impact cardio. And then after school, I'd have an hour or two on practice, and then I'd work out. And doing that every day, I was burnt out. I was just dead after a couple of weeks. So something like to that extreme.
That's another good point. The type of cardio is a major influence. There's been some of those research studies on concurrent training have looked at the specific type of cardio. And running, they found out of all the types of cardio, running is the most difficult to recover from. It just demands more from the recovery capacity, and it's because of those eccentric muscle contractions because of the impact. So when they compared it to cycling was the least likely to cause any muscle loss or to cause an interference effect. In fact, I don't know if you've seen on social media these crazy pictures of sprint cyclists, what their legs look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're ridiculous. They're so muscular. So, if you get on and you do sprints too, if you're doing interval training on a cycle, I think that's really very compatible with bodybuilding. And I think that my legs were the most cut and the most vascular ever when I was doing more cycling than other cardio, and when I was also running up stadium steps. Those are two types of of cardio, and it was interval training. It wasn't long duration
Right.
cardio, but it was really effective and didn't compromise my physique at all.